Hello, I'm Commander Wiggy B. This is Elite Dangerous version 3.0.5. Welcome to a video about how to have fun while surface prospecting in the SRV. Following its introduction in 2015, planetary landings and raw materials gathering has taken a knock in terms of reputation. I've watched countless videos of commanders carefully navigating rough ground or trundling in a straight line over a perfectly flat plain. As a result, most commanders seem to regard the search for resources as just another grind, and a particularly onerous one at that. Personally, I don't see it this way. After the changes to engineering and material limits, I've now come to actively enjoy surface scavenging. There are a few reasons for this. First, with the increased storage, I now get to keep and use the vast majority of my find. No more heartache discarding valuable materials when I bump up against the crazy 1,000 items cap. This was the worst part of the original system in my opinion. Secondly, now that we've got per item storage limits, I'm always able to hold a large stock of the materials required to repair my SRV. It's also likely that I'll collect far more than I'll use on any given trip. This means I can drive it like I stole it, without penalty. And finally, a realisation that as Elite is an open galaxy game, I can turn any scenario into an interesting challenge. All that's required is a bit of thought and effort up front. For me, these changes have now transformed prospecting from a dispiriting slog into a chaotic riot of jumps and crashes. If I return home with an SRV in the hold, I've simply not been trying hard enough. During this video, I'm going to discuss where I like to go prospecting and why. I'll describe the basic features of the SRV and point out some counterintuitive behaviours that you may not know. I'll show you how to drive it fast on low G and high G worlds, how to fly with precision and land safely, sometimes, and correct for yaw, how to deal with damage when and while you crash, and finally, how to ramp up the difficulty and add some spice. But before all that, let's discuss the horse I rode in on. For me, the best ship to take prospecting is without doubt the humble Sidewinder. This thing is so small it can land practically anywhere, meaning that it can pick me up from the bottom of a deep crevasse or from the middle of a jagged mountain range. Things an Anaconda simply can't do. What's more, when fitted with advanced thrusters with dirty drive tuning, it'll do well over 600 meters per second, making it a pretty decent canyon racer too. Fun all round. At this point I should probably admit that while making this video, more SRVs were destroyed by my flying than by my driving. Okay, so where do I like to go prospecting? Until recently, storage limits meant that hunting for raw materials tended to be a single item deal. When you wanted something, you simply looked it up on EDDB and then travelled to the planet with the highest concentration at the limit of the distance you could be bothered to travel. Post 3.0, everything has changed. The ability to keep what you find means that rather than just searching for one item, it's more sensible to check your inventory and search for a planet with 3 or 4 materials that you're low on. That way, every rock is going to be worth collecting, and drop rate percentages don't really matter. Alternatively, I can just prospect in my home system, as I can find most of what I need, even if the percentages aren't the best, and it's extremely convenient. Once you've chosen your target planet, conventional wisdom suggests that you should land on a flat section and then blast across it as fast as possible. Material spawns depend on the amount of ground that you cover, so speed and distance increase your loot rate. Unfortunately, this isn't inspiring gameplay. I'd far rather encounter cliffs, crater rims and mountains that I can play on. It may not be as efficient, but time flies by when I'm driving like a maniac. The loot is just a bonus. Now it's time to get down to the surface and get to grips with the SRV. I'm going to start with the thrusters. Everyone who's driven the SRV understands that the thrusters provide a modest vertical thrust and allow you to jump small objects. Boosting with the nose dipped forward allows you to increase your forward velocity. Pulling up allows you to slow down and move backwards, and rolling allows you to move laterally. What is less well understood is what happens when you're inverted. Pitch or roll more than 90 degrees off the horizontal in any direction, and the thrusters actually boost in the opposite direction. Flipping upside down and hitting boost moves you up and away from the ground, just like it does when you're on your wheels. If you're close to vertical, you may end up boosting backwards when you expect to boost forwards, or forwards when you expect to go backwards. These rather counterintuitive results have given Yamaks plenty of entertaining footage. Now that we're finally in the cockpit, I want to talk about driving style. My approach assumes that flying is far safer, faster and easier than rolling under almost all circumstances. When you're off the ground, you can easily avoid rocks, and you're immune to spinning out of control. We're currently on a generic low-G ice ball in my home system. Flat sections on this type of world are a good place to demonstrate the basics of driving fast, because the low gravity means that everything happens slowly and crashes are easier to avoid. SRV shields don't provide impact protection, and shooting rocks doesn't put much load on the weapons capacitor. As a result, I run with a 141 pip setup to maximise speed and boost capability. I also tend to drive with the cargo scoop up. On flat ground this isn't necessary, but on rough terrain the scoop can catch on small rocks and cause damage. To get off the ground requires some form of launch. Whenever possible, I try and use natural ramps to give me an initial kick. I then immediately pitch the nose forward and apply a healthy dose of boost. Getting a boost in early greatly increases your hang time. At this point, my focus turns to identifying an appropriate landing site. I'm looking for a flat surface or downslope that's in line with my flight path and free of rock clutter. Identifying a target spot and making trajectory adjustments as early as possible is critical for a safe and controlled landing. When off the ground, I would recommend rolling to stay level with the horizon. Flying canted to one side will introduce lateral motion when you boost, and may make landing more challenging. As you come into land, roll and pitch your SRV to match the angle of the surface. As I touch down, I always dip the nose by around 5 degrees, so that the front wheels touch down first. This greatly reduces landing damage, even during hard landings from a significant height. My last recommendation is to always land with the engine at full throttle. If you land front wheels first and align to the surface, the engine will pull you forwards and help avoid a spin out. Next up, I want to talk about how to recover when things go wrong. In particular, how to correct for yaw when you're off the ground, as the SRV doesn't include yaw flight controls. There are 3 scenarios that really need dealt with separately. The least severe is when you can still see where you're going, meaning your yaw angle is somewhere up to 45 degrees. This usually happens when I clip the top of a rock while taking off. It's possible to land in this state, but the chances of a spin are very high. To correct in flight, I usually pitch the nose forward a few degrees, then roll the ship until my yaw angle is 0, and then bring the nose back up. Maintaining height using thrusters is possible throughout. The second scenario is when the yaw angle is a bit more severe, and you're now unable to see where you're going. This usually means a yaw angle of between 45 and 120 degrees. Under this circumstance, I find pitching the nose down and rolling rather disorienting. As a result, I tend to apply a large dose of vertical thrust to increase my hang time, and then roll my SRV 90 degrees so that it's on its side. I then pitch up until I'm facing the direction of travel, before finally rolling back to level. The most extreme scenario is when a substantial impact leaves me flying backwards. In this case, I apply a boost to increase my hang time, and then pitch up 180 degrees. This leaves me facing forwards but upside down, and I can then roll to get my wheels back underneath me. Because of the way thrusters work, it's possible to gain some extra height midway through the correction by boosting when upside down. Now on to repairs. Using the right hand console, we can quickly and cheaply repair the SRV while exploring the surface of the planet. Combat synthesis has been nerfed recently, and incoming fire now interrupts ammo production. This isn't the case for SRV repairs. As a result, you can repair at any time, including when bouncing down the side of a cliff. This means you really have to work very hard to destroy an SRV. Okay, that's the tutorial section over. Armed with this information and a good bit of practice, you should be able to drive fast and push the limits of the SRV. So just what is it capable of, and what mischief can we get up to? On low-G worlds, surface features such as cliffs and crevices tend to be large and offer some excellent opportunities for play. 2 of my personal favourites are cliff descents and cliff ascents, particularly when they come as a surprise. Obviously falling off a cliff isn't particularly challenging. Not becoming street pizza at the bottom is. As with smaller jumps, picking your landing spot and then managing your impact speed is key. As always, make sure you land front wheels first. Maintaining forward velocity also seems to help. The ability to ascend towering cliffs is both useful and great fun. Rather than trying to boost your way up, the key is to convert your ground speed into vertical flight speed. The easiest way to do this is to find a short, curved ramp near the base of the climb, and then hit it at top speed. Once you're off the ground, boost a few times to manage your trajectory, and make sure you're not going to crash into the cliff face. As soon as you're confident your flight path is good, pitch forward so you're heading up roof first, and then boost with everything you've got. This will significantly increase the height you can climb. As soon as you have enough vertical momentum to clear the top, pitch further forwards and boost yourself towards the landing spot. Easy. Along the same vein, finding the perfect ramp for big air brings a smile to my face every single time. The longer the hang time, the more I enjoy it. This particular jump topped out at over 130 metres off the ground. Superb fun. The possibilities for emergent gameplay are one of the reasons why I love driving the SRV fast and furious. Adding in tricks such as flips and barrel rolls are a particular favourite of mine. Including extra elements such as repairing while inverted just adds to the challenge. Another area with possibilities for fun is the actual material collection itself. Whenever possible, I try and shoot the target rock on approach, while off the ground and at full speed. I then also often play the same material slam dunk game as Vindicator Jones. The idea here is to collect the items before they hit the ground. I'll leave a link to his video below, because it's well worth a watch. I'm going to close out this video with a frenetic thrash across a 1.6G world. The techniques used are exactly the same as I've demonstrated on low G planets. However, feature sizes are far smaller and more densely packed. As a result, everything happens more quickly. During this run, I was extremely careful when picking my landing spots. I was looking for small depressions where I could land gently on a downslope and then immediately receive a kick back off the ground. The high G and fast pace means that I had to be frugal when boosting and not be too ambitious with my hang time. Emptying the engine capacitor would have almost certainly ended in a crash landing. I absolutely love driving the SRV on this type of world. When I'm in the zone, jumps and landings flow together, and I often ignore material gathering altogether. It's true, SRV driving really can be fun. So that's it for this video. Hopefully it will inspire a few commanders to pick up the pace while prospecting. Please do leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed it. If you hated it, please let me know why. Constructive criticism will be gratefully received. 07 and drive dangerous, commanders. Wiggy B out.